As welcome as it is, that assistance package will only go some of the way to helping farmers in far north Queensland recover from Cyclone Yasi. Their crops have been flattened, their income slashed and their homes extensively damaged again. The Category 5 superstorm struck as many were just coming good after Cyclone Larry 5 years ago. For some, the financial and psychological impact of not one but two cyclones in close proximity will prove too much to bear. For others, rebuilding is the only thing on their minds.
Tropical Cyclone Larry crossed the coast about, the eye of it crossed the coast about 40 minutes ago.
Everything's snapping at half.
In March 2006, Cyclone Larry, Australia's worst cyclone in a century, made landfall at Innisfail, causing $1.5 billion in damage and killing one person. The impact on agriculture was enormous. Banana crops were wiped out, cane and exotic fruit orchards smashed. 5 years later, Cyclone Yasi hit just 50 kilometres south of Innisfail at Mission Beach. Unbelievably, many of the same farms were wrecked again.
I think the first day you don't really absorb, you sort of just get hit, smacked in the face with all these visions of what's out there. So it does take a while to set in and probably still hasn't set in yet, the full enormity of it.
How do you feel having to deal with this twice in 5 years?
Yeah, pretty devastating. It just not just a financial loss, you look around and you've been planning and working for a few years to get back to where you need to be, and then overnight it's just smashed to the ground. You see all your good hard work, it's gone.
Probably be some farmers who will fold up shop, because Larry wasn't that long ago. They're still probably heavily in debt from Larry.
Does it make you reconsider whether you want to keep farming?
Definitely does. Sometimes it's a hard long road in farming.
Cameron Mackay is a third-generation banana grower based in Tully. His family's weathered cyclones Winifred, Larry and now Yasi.
Traditionally, they're about 20 to 30 years apart where these cyclones come in, and normally not two major cyclones together 5 years apart.
With 6 farms turning out 2.2 million cases a year, the Mackays are Australia's biggest banana growers. This was their plantation before Yasi. This is after.
We've taken the full brunt of the hit, so we've virtually had 100% of our crop destroyed. We have just over 1,000 hectares of bananas, so over 1.5 million trees have been flattened. I won't try and sugarcoat that, it's very tough to take a hit like that on a business, but we're a very strong family business and very resilient and very determined as well to make sure that we get back in production and back to where we were prior to the cyclone.
In a few weeks, the Mackays' 3 packing sheds will shut down, leaving 350 workers in limbo.
Some will leave. They have been through a very traumatic event. They'll say enough's enough and they'll move on to somewhere else. But we're hoping to keep as many as we can, and that was very critical after Larry to keep those people at work and working.
What can you get them to do?
There's a heck of a mess to pick up here, so we're going to have to go around and pick up all of the bags that have gone down onto the ground. So that'll be a process over months to go through and pick them up, and we have to prepare the crop for the future.
Cameron Mackay is president of the Australian Banana Growers Council. When Queensland's Minister for Primary Industries, Tim Mulheron, visited Patrick Lay's flattened banana farm at Tully, he was by the minister's side. The council had asked government to allow growers to sell bananas knocked to the ground. In a first for the industry, the request was approved.
It's a great outcome for the banana growers. This will certainly assist in the economic recovery. It's great news for lovers of bananas because that'll increase the supply. The product is absolutely safe. Banana, of course, you've got to peel a banana, but it's good news all round.
Yeah, well, we won't recover everything off the ground. Obviously, there's going to be stuff too damaged that won't make it. The sun's now out, so a lot of sunburnt fruit will happen. So there's a possibility of maybe about 50,000 to 100,000 cartons per week being able to get picked up off the ground roughly over the next couple of weeks.
Within days of the cyclone, banana prices tripled, so the salvaged bananas will be sold into an inflated market. That's some consolation for Patrick Lay, who had a complete crop wipeout courtesy of both Larry and Yasi.
And that money that we get back from that, we've got to try and survive on that for the next 7 months, you know, so it's very critical that we do get some of it back.
While Yasi's impact on growers is immense, its impact on the industry is just as profound.
We think we've got about 75% of Australia's production knocked out, so there'll be about 25% production being sent to market for approximately 4 months. You're looking around 7 months for full recovery, but a lot of growers took action before the cyclone came and chopped a lot of leaves off some trees to actually get them to stand up in the cyclone, and that was successful.
Cyclone Larry exposed the vulnerability of concentrating so much production in a relatively small strip of North Queensland. In the 5 years since, some growers set up elsewhere to spread their risk. Others thought they had years to plan a similar move.
There is going to be geographic spread. It'll have to happen, and that will ensure that if one of these storms do come through again, we won't be taking the hit that we are at the moment.
For the Regato family, having two farms 200 kilometres apart has paid off.
Tully's been wiped out by the cyclone. Mareeba is still standing, so that's a plus. Now, with our Mareeba farm, we can, I suppose, cash in to a degree and get the company back into production as soon as possible.
When Larry hit 5 years ago, Les Glenner's Tully-based trucking business revolved around bananas. Back then, he told Landline, he went from 120 semi-loads of bananas a week to 8 and had to borrow to survive.
Debt-wise, we're still recovering. We're not back where we were before Larry, so 5 years later we've got the same again. It takes longer than that to pay those loans back.
It's an anxious time for his staff, who've just one thing on their minds.
Do you think you're going to have to let people go?
We'll definitely have to probably... we don't really know yet. We'll try and keep them employed because this is their home. They're relying on us for a payroll. So what do we do, yeah.
While he diversified his customer base after Larry, bananas are still the core of the business. By the end of the month, he expects to drop from 250,000 cartons a week to 30,000. Until the plantations are running at full production again, his trucks will travel south empty to pick up northbound freight opportunities. He hopes the federal government this time will match the wage subsidy it made available after Cyclone Larry.
Well, I think after Larry they gave us the $400 a week per employee subsidy, which means then if we could cut their hours back, we could then sort of keep them employed. We've only got to top their wages up a small amount, but there's no way with our revenue loss now that we can keep everybody employed with no wage subsidy.
Some believe low-interest loans, so helpful post-Larry, won't be the answer this time.
I don't think this time, there'll probably be a lot that won't qualify for the loans because they've still got that much sort of debt from Larry.
Others say the only way they can keep going is to take on more debt.
With Larry, we doubled our debt overnight, and we're going to have to do that again.
Within a week of Yasi, Patrick Lay was losing staff.
I've had two give me notice that they're finishing at the end of the week. You know, they just said, we don't want to do this sort of work for the next 6 months, you know, cutting up and cleaning up, and they're going to move on and find something else.
And they're probably not the only ones.
We had growers exit the industry after Cyclone Larry, I think there was about 500 hectares of bananas went out of production after Larry, completely out of production. And I'd say it'll happen again this time. To what level, it's too early to tell.
It's inevitable that after Yasi there will be some that will say, well, enough's enough. But I think banana growers are a fairly tough mob in North Queensland, and the core group that we've got is very solid, so I hope that as many growers as possible stay in.
Cyclone Yasi shook the resolve of even the toughest farmers.
Larry was sea breeze compared to Yasi for us. We were smack in the middle of it here. Pretty intense, pretty scary. First time in my life I've actually been frightened. Been through a few cyclones and quite a few big floods, never worried me, but this one certainly did.
Tully cane grower Mario Racanello says despite Yasi beating up his farm, he has no intention of leaving.
I farmed here all my entire life. To pack up and go somewhere else and start new and a different adventure, it doesn't matter what area you go to, everyone's got their heartaches on the land.
He lost 20% of his cane to Larry, probably more this time.
There's a lot lodged on the ground from the first wind, direction of the wind, then we went through the eye. In the second direction, what didn't get blown over virtually got snapped off and some got pushed back the other way.
What was it like the first few days as you absorbed what it had done to your farm?
Walking around dumbfounded, just couldn't quite comprehend. Still can't comprehend what to do or where do we turn.
Some of the cane might come good, but he won't know how much his yields are down until the June harvest. He didn't borrow after Larry, and he won't this time either.
I certainly don't want to keep borrowing money to keep going on, and you end up digging a hole that you never actually climb out of, because it gets to a stage where you've got to retire, and if you've got a debt, you can't retire. So, and my long-term ambition is to try and keep the farm to pass on to the kids if they want to be farmers. Yeah, no, there's 3 resident crocs here. There's a 4 metre and 2 3 metres, plus all the babies and...
Landline first met Mario last year when he showed us the reef-friendly farming practices he'd adopted. He was especially proud of this natural lagoon. This was before Yasi. This is after.
Just all them years of work just gone down the chute in 5 hours.
He says much of the good work growers have done to keep nutrients on their farms was ruined by Yasi.
There's nothing you can do about it. It's a natural disaster. There's nothing you can do all the right things and do everything, you know, by the book and do everything right, and you get a natural disaster like this, nothing's going to stop it. Varieties, looking at this at a quick estimate, probably 80 to 90% snap.
He told cane growers boss Steve Greenwood it will take 2 to 3 years to recover.
Early estimates of losses today would be at least 50%. And given that Tully normally, in a good season, supplies about 2 million tonne of sugar, right, all the way, we're down to at least 1 million tonne. And the more we talk to the growers and the more we actually have a look on the ground, it could be less than that.
A massive and expensive replanting program is already being planned, but it's going to take time.
The nature of the plant cane is that it actually goes into shock. It struggles the next 2 seasons. It takes about 3 years before it's up and we get a full strength harvest again.
All we can declare. So the next stage is what we call category C and D.
I am very worried about the future for the industry.